Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid. Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And, undouching your face, man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
All right, buckle up, because Bill Maher just lit up the Democrats, metaphorically, of course. But let's be real, the roast was so brutal you could almost smell the smoke drifting through the screen. It was one of those rare political moments where truth and comedy hooked up, partied all night, and left the DNC waking up confused and hungover. Here's the deal. Democrats have a major problem. American men, especially working-class men, are slipping away from their support. And instead of showing up and saying, hey, what's going on? How do we earn back your trust? What do? They throw a fancy dinner at the Ritz-Carlton in Half Moon Bay. Picture this, seed sea base, heirloom tomato carpaccio, and dainty little lobster rolls. Because nothing screams we understand the struggles of the working man quite like sipping Chardonnay in a ballroom.
To your point, I want to get to something very important. How many know what SAM stands for? It's a new phrase. It stands for Speaking with American Men, SAM. This is the new movement by the Democratic Party. They lost the men vote a lot last time, so they had a meeting up at the Ritz-Carlton at Half Moon Bay, south of San Francisco. I'm not making this up, where they served mini lobster rolls and had heirloom tomato carpaccio and seared sea bass in their conclave to decide how to win back the American man.
You really can't make this stuff up. And Bill Maher had zero plans to let them slide. He called out the glaring disconnect and just tore into the whole charade. Think about it. You trying to win back guys who rebuild their own truck transmissions and wash it down with Miller Lite, but the vibe of your strategy session screams Gwyneth Paltrow's lifestyle blog. That's like throwing a tribute dinner for firefighters, but serving sushi in tuxedos. Sure, the audience stays polite, but deep down they are wondering, who are you people? And here's the kicker, the DNC wasn't just there to sip wine and nibble lobster. Oh no. They actually branded this whole gathering as SAM, Speaking with American Males, which, let's be honest, sounds less like political outreach and more like the world's worst HR seminar. And the workshops, absolute gold. One was literally titled, How to Keep Your Liberal Base While Putting Guns on Your Christmas Card. Another, Best Protein Powder for a Clean Bulk. You couldn't script satire this perfect if you tried.
Now, look.
It's because we used to have conferences at Harvard to figure out what the working class needs, and so now we're moving west.
You got to own who you are. I get it. These are the mini lobster roll people. But they had this symposium, and we got a hold of what was this is Speaking with American Men. This is a real thing that they're doing, and they have these seminars. Would you like to hear what was some of the? Okay. These are ways that they want to, seminars that they had to try to win back the typical American male, like how to keep your liberal base while putting guns on your Christmas card. That was one that I wanted to.
Picture this. Some political consultant walks up to a voter and goes, hey man, we know you're struggling with gas prices, inflation, maybe even job security. But have you tried this new pea protein shake? Totally plant-based. Great for gains. Yeah, because nothing says we care about your livelihood like handing out unsolicited gym advice. Perfect strategy, guys. And they didn't stop there. Apparently, they even ran a segment on how to properly drink Bud Light. I'm serious. When to shotgun it, when to sip it, which is already ridiculous. But if you've been awake at all over the past 2 years, you know why that's unintentionally hysterical. Bud Light basically set the gold standard for self-inflicted PR disasters with their own culture war blunder, and here's the DNC clumsily reminding everyone of it. It's like they are roasting themselves without even realizing it.
Best protein powder for a clean bulk and other dude conversation starters. Bud Light etiquette, when to drink it, when to shoot it.
But here's where Mayor's point really lands. The Democrats aren't just missing the mark. They've packed up and left the entire shooting range. Instead of talking about, oh, I don't know, the economy, inflation, or America's place in the world, they are busy manufacturing this fake manly man rhetoric for voters they clearly don't understand. The whole thing feels less like political outreach and more like some wannabe influencer desperately chasing clout on TikTok. And then came the fishing part. Yes, fishing. They described it as this bizarre pastime that working-class men do when they are not playing pickleball. Hold on a second. If your strategy session includes mocking the hobbies of the very people you're trying to win over, maybe you should just pack it up and start over. Because at that point, your message basically boils down to, vote for me, even though I think everything you care about is stupid.
The bizarre hobby working class men enjoy instead of pickleball. The only scene that you're obsessed with in Titanic, hint, it has tits.
And just when you thought it couldn't get more ridiculous, Mayor brought up another gem from the Democrats' How to Win Back Men playbook, referencing the nude scene from Titanic. Yeah, at this point, their strategy guide reads like a bizarre mashup of Maxim magazine and a political handbook. You're not running a campaign if your big idea for reconnecting with voters is tossing out boob jokes instead of real policies. That's not outreach. That's hosting open MIC night at the saddest comedy club on earth. But Mayor didn't stop at roasting the PR disaster. He zoomed out and nailed the bigger picture. The left has been busy chasing identity politics, virtue signaling, and Twitter-approved stunts, while ignoring the issues that actually matter around America's kitchen tables. Elections are supposed to be about jobs, public safety, inflation, not hashtag activism. And then came the Joe Rogan part. Once the left's golden boy, the cool, relatable guy they could point to, Rogan has basically bailed on them. Why? Because even he can't stomach what the left has turned
Lee
into.
versus Bigfoot, mythical fight scenarios to man up your Joe Rogan appearance.
What the left has morphed into now is basically a hyper-woke, self-parodying movement where stepping even a hair outside the approved script gets you excommunicated, and masculinity itself is treated like some kind of disease. Meanwhile, Rogan's out there hunting, lifting, and having raw, unfiltered conversations. And guess what? Millions of people actually value that. But here's the real kicker. It's not just about men. Voters across the board are tired of being labeled, condescended to, and told what their priorities should be. People want leaders who listen, not influencers with a lecture.
Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And, undouching your face, man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
Mayor's roast isn't just comedy, it's a warning shot. You can't expect people to stick around if you're constantly talking at them instead of with them. He drove the point home with the story of a congressional district on the Texas border, mostly Latino, that had been solidly Democratic for decades, until last year when it flipped Republican. Why? The campaign manager for the losing side summed it up bluntly. We gave up a reliably Democratic seat for no reason at all. But Mayor cut through the spin and explained the real issue. Those voters didn't just want slogans about compassion. They needed someone to actually represent them. Beyond the border crisis and migration. They were looking for a voice that spoke to their lives, and they stopped seeing Democrats as that ally.
Last week, an 85% Latino congressional district on the border with Mexico, which had always voted heavily Democratic, flipped to the red team. And the campaign manager for the losing Democrat said, "We gave up a reliably Democratic congressional seat for no reason at all. We deserve to know why." Well, aside from your terrible attitude, I'm going to tell you why. Because these voters stopped seeing your candidate as their lawyer. That's why. Their message to you was, I'm an American now. I'm here. Be my lawyer, not the lawyer for the migrants showing up in my backyard.
This is where it gets raw. Mayor basically lays it out. If your political priority is advocating for non-citizens while ignoring the struggles of the citizens in your own district, don't be shocked when they dump you. And he's right. People notice. They remember. Thousands of Americans are dying from fentanyl overdoses every year. And meanwhile, the big debate online is over pronouns. That disconnect doesn't go unnoticed. And speaking of pronouns, let's talk about the whole Latinx fiasco. Almost no actual Latino person uses that term. Most don't like it, and plenty flat out find it insulting. Poll after poll shows the overwhelming majority reject it. Yet Democrats embraced it like it was the biggest branding breakthrough since Yes We Can. Mayor shredded this too, pointing out that even the nation's oldest Latino civil rights group has condemned the word.
Every month I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales.
But of course, there are still plenty like AOC rushing to defend it with lines like, language is fluid and gender is fluid. Sure, language evolves, but so do voters. And lately, they've been evolving their way right out of the Democratic tent. This is where Mayor got personal. He pointed out a perception many people have, that AOC's Latina identity often comes across like a political costume she puts on when it's convenient. Fair or not, perception is everything in politics. And if voters feel like you're performing a persona instead of living it, they'll turn on you in a heartbeat. Because in today's climate, authenticity isn't optional. It's the only real currency of credibility. By the end of Mayor's takedown, the message was crystal clear. The old Democratic strategy, chasing niche activist causes, slapping on trendy terminology, and assuming people will just fall in line, doesn't work anymore.